and welcome back to another episode of Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that gets to the essence of the automobile. Today, we are talking about something pretty ridiculous. The 2021 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. Yep, Hellcat everything. You can take a look at this fantastic Dodge Durango on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And hey, while you get your phone out, why don't you go and, go to our Facebook page, click that like button. That way you get all the great Autoweek content we deliver daily. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about this Dodge in just 1 second, but first we have to pay the bills. Want to go behind the scenes with editors of Autoweek, Car and Driver, and Road and Track? Become a member of the Track Club and receive 6 supersized issues of the new Road and Track, plus access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/Autoweek. That's roadandtrack.com/AUTOWEEK. And Mr. Raynal, tell me about this 2021 Dodge Durango Hellcat. They finally put the Hellcat in this thing.
The Hellcat arrived on my doorstep with 710 horsepower, okay? So that's 710 horsepower in a crossover. So wrap your head around that for a second. I'll sit here and wait.
That's a beautiful thing.
I know. So think of it this way. A NASCAR Cup car has about the same amount of horsepower. So I was driving at the time a crossover with as much horsepower as a Cup car. Now, here's the beauty of it. I don't know if you recall, Mr. Wren, but a few weeks ago we had a lot of snow, like 7, 8, 9 inches of snow. That happened to be the night after my Hellcat arrived with 710 horsepower under the hood. So it was quite an adventure.
That sounds like quite the experience. But I do believe, and I could be mistaken, but I do believe the Durango Hellcat is also all-wheel drive. So it should give you quite a good launch, despite it being in opportune conditions.
Right, and that gets me to my next point, which I'm glad you segued. It really didn't do that badly in that weather, considering all the power under my foot. It was crazy. I was scared to death. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was afraid I was going to prang it into some old lady in her Ford Focus. But it worked fine. It went good in the snow. It actually did go good in the snow. I was shocked. And the other thing that amazed me was once the roads dried out and I could hustle it a little bit, it actually handles pretty good. I mean, or maybe I should say not as bad as I thought. But, with that much power in a crossover, you're thinking this thing's just going to be insane. But it wasn't insane. The power was insane. The acceleration was insane. But it handled well. It handled the snow well, which surprised me. And I will tell you one more thing. People definitely knew that this thing had a special package because everyone checked it out.
Well, speaking of checking it out, you took a little time out of your day to give us a quick walk around of the Durango Hellcat, which we're going to go to right now.
I'm sitting in the 2021 Durango SRT Hellcat all-wheel drive, 710 horsepower. You heard me correctly, 710 horsepower from the 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi. Made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This baby is bloody quick. Before we get to that, a little walk around quickly. The interior is nice. The materials are good. Not excellent, but not horrible. Above average, I should say. Soft touch plastics, and the dash is nice and padded, and the steering wheel is nice, thick SRT steering wheel, sort of a flat bottom item. Pretty intuitive touch screen controls. The paddles are humongous on the steering wheel. The shifting paddles it's like not as big as those ginormous ones in the Alfa Romeos that we see, but these things are pretty large. I would say they're 3 or 4 or 5 inches tall. Pretty good sized paddles. Nice heated steering wheel, heated seats. It's been in the single digits here, so that counts for something, let me tell you. And then it's all pretty well screwed together. Very black. Interior is black and the exterior is dark red, so it's kind of a foreboding looking thing. It's sitting here idling right now. It sounds like a NASCAR stalker, quite loud. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's got some real, it's got some growl to it. So the driving modes are numerous. You push an SRT button on the center console, and you can hit auto setup to set up all your parameters on the transmission, the shifters. You can fiddle with the all-wheel drive. You can play with the stability control, suspension, steering, all of it. You can set it up for sport. You can set it up for track. You can set it up for snow. I have it in tow mode, snow mode, custom mode. I have it in auto. So the transmission is in the street position. The paddle shifters are in the on. I guess you can turn them off maybe. And then everything else, all-wheel drive, stability control, suspension, steering is in street. So that's what you get when you do the auto button. Sport switches that all to sport, obviously. Track switches it all to track. So we'll get into those modes a little bit when we take this thing for a spin. And why don't we do that right now?
Well, I have to be the bearer of bad news, but we won't be doing that until a few minutes from now. That said, Mr. Raynal, it sounds like that thing is an absolute hoot. Tell me more about it. Tell me what the interior really felt like. Tell me, give me its broad strokes.
I mean, it was very fun to drive, and I was very surprised at how well it went in the snow. I did not have the guts to put my foot in it and keep my foot in it. I did have the guts to stab it a little bit and see what it would do off the line, but I did not take it out on a open piece of highway and let her sort of have its head, as they say. But it was much more controlled and controllable than I thought it would be. I thought it would be completely insane. It was only insane, not completely insane. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. I had to laugh because a friend of mine who has a Charger Hellcat with the same motor, he's complaining about his mileage. And I said, what did you expect? Yeah, the mileage is not going to be great. And he's, So I was very impressed with the drivability of the thing, I think is the best way to put it overall. I thought it was more drivable than I thought it would be, especially considering the weather we were having at the time.
Well, speaking of drivable, I think now is a perfect time to go tag along while you put this thing through its paces.
So here we go. Let's take this Durango Hellcat for a spin. The hellish Hellcat, the 710 horsepower Hellcat. It's wild. It's very, very, very fast, as you can probably imagine. Goes like, I can't say it on family radio. It's really fast. As for the modes that I mentioned earlier, you can definitely feel distinct differences with up the ladder you go, sport, track, etc. The ride becomes quite a bit firmer. And by the way, the ride is not bad in auto mode. It's less harsh than I thought it might be. It's definitely livable. I don't know if I need a 710 horsepower crossover every day or sport utility vehicle every day, but it's fun to have, especially now that I know it's not going to beat me up when I take it for a ride every time I want to take it for a ride. Bloody quick. The different modes. Firm up the suspension, firm up the steering, make it shift quicker. Like most of these modi things do on cars and trucks these days. But I don't know if you could hear that, but I gave it a little poke on the accelerator right there just to see if the sound came through, because the thing really does sound like a race car, and I mean that as a compliment. The sticker on this is really close to 100K. It's 92 and change. It's got some options on it, but definitely a hoot to drive. Like I said, I don't know that I would want to live with this thing every day, but if I had a fleet of toys, I would probably get one of these or maybe a Charger wide body or something, just to have the horsepower under my foot. It's kind of intoxicating, and it's a lot of fun, and I'll get back to Mr. Wren now, and we can discuss it further.
If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road and Track for kids ages 6 to 10. Every other month, a box is delivered to their door and is stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now to receive the all-new Mad Scientist box and enter code Autoweek for 10% off an annual box subscription. Just head over to rtcrew.com, that's rtcrew.com, and use code Autoweek. Well, there's nothing more I want to discuss than this Durango. No, so obviously 700 some odd horsepower, 710 horsepower in the case of this Durango, and 717 in the case of the Charger and Challenger Hellcats. It's a lot of responsibility for your right foot. How easy was it to modulate that throttle? Is it kind of an on-off switch, or do you have a lot of leeway when it comes to the tip-in?
No, that's the thing. I thought it was quite drivable. I thought the throttle modulation was very good, and overall, again, considering the weather and the snowy, nasty roads we had, it was actually a pretty nice car to drive. As long as I didn't boot it too hard. Yeah, you just have to, you got to keep your head about you and not go nuts. But, I mean, would I want one of these every day? No. Would I want one occasionally in my fleet of a vast number of vehicles? Sure, absolutely.
Well, sometimes you need to go to the grocery, and sometimes you need to get there very quickly. No, so Mr. Raynal, earlier in the show you were talking about how it's, fun to drive. Is it actually fun to whip around corners, and is it pretty boaty?
No, it's not boaty at all. I think they dialed the suspension very nicely. It's got really, actually, for a car, again, I hate to keep harping on this, but for this much power, it's a 3-row crossover. Think about that. The body control and the handling is really quite remarkable. And the drivability, again, I know people are going to say, oh, Raynal, you don't know what you're talking about. And maybe I don't, but it really, I thought the body control was great and the steering was fine. And as long as you're not an idiot with the throttle, it's really a good driver.
Well, that is good to hear. Also, a good thing you drove it instead of me, because I don't know if I trust myself. But, Mr. Raynal, I'm sure you've been dreading this moment in the show. On a quick spin, we try to get to the essence of the automobile, and I know this is a hard-hitting question, but I have to ask, what is the essence of the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat? What's its raison d'etre?
I think if you want to get to the grocery store really fast and schlep a lot of groceries home yesterday, it's what you need to get. The power's insane. The body control is impressive for a car of this ilk. And yeah, as far as the competition, most of which is German, it's a bargain. Super SUV bargain.
Well,
how's that?
I think that hits the nail on the head, and I think that kind of resonates with a lot of truth, considering you can't buy one anymore. But I think that's a good place to wrap this one up. Mr. Raynal, thank you for driving this. I know it's a hard job, but somebody has to do it.
It is the sacrifices I make for you people.
And hey, thank you so much for listening. While you're listening to this bad boy, why don't you head over to Apple Podcast Store or wherever you listen to this bad boy, drop a quick review, give us those 5 stars, let us know how we're doing, and let us know what you want to hear about in the future. But more importantly, while your phone's out, why don't you head over to our Facebook page, click that like button. That way you can keep up to date with all the great Autoweek content we deliver daily. And I know I basically just said this, but I can't stress it enough. Without your listenership, none of this would be happening. So thank you for listening.